setting it up. I'm like, oh, I've never had to.
Yeah.
We're small time, man.
Yeah.
It was cool. Your staff was very, very accommodating, very, very easy to go along with.
They're good team.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a really good team. That's what it's all about. If I have any success in life, it's surrounding myself with good people that we know what's going on. Right?
Yeah, this is a really cool show too. My wife was at NADA, and she put on their annual show. She's part of the show team there. She was. She's left for another association now, but I kind of know what it goes to put in a show like this, and it's unbelievable. That was I didn't say that right at all. what it takes to put on a show like this, and it's unbelievable, especially 2 back to back.
Yeah.
Is it you? Kind of behind the scenes. Do you have 2 show teams?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say you kind of have to.
Yeah, no, we definitely do, and they're very unique and different.
I would. Yeah, it's having been to SEMA a few times now, I can see the difference.
Yes. Yeah, and we're trying to keep this very grassroots, very racing, very kind of hardcore. And SEMA's show it's got racing for sure.
Yeah.
It's got off road, and it's got lowered cars, lifted trucks, low riders. It's got every form of product that you could think of.
Yeah, it's
in kind of any style of lifestyle.
Are you Lauren?
Hi, Lauren.
Oh, if you want to grab a chair and hang out, you're more than welcome to.
She's got my flashcards.
Oh.
Well, you guys heard it. We are back again here at PRI. Yep. We are with SEMA President and CEO Mike Spagnola. I got it right that time.
You did,
I've been butchering it the whole time.
It's really bad with names.
Oh,
I am.
And I go by everything, right?
Yeah.
I think my team calls me Spags.
Spags, the Spagsters.
Yeah.
That's your Instagram, I think, is Spagster.
Yeah. Spag awesome. Senior, actually.
Spag
Senior.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah, Spag Senior, because
Okay.
my sons are Spags too, one of my daughter.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And 27 is my number because I was I used to race, and I thought by the time I was 27, I'd be at Indy 500 was my goal, and I didn't make it.
So in the rundown that I got from your team, it says you raced SCCA, and then it says just off-road.
Yeah.
What?
So my kids all have side-by-sides, and, we go out and play, quite a bit.
Yep.
I've done a little bit of off-road racing, not much. My youngest son has done quite a bit. He's done the Parker. He's done Mint.
Oh,
he's
cool.
done some of those sorts of things.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Because y'all are Californians, right?
Yeah, Turbo Unlimited sort of thing. So, we play in the desert a lot.
That's awesome.
Still dirt bike ride once in a while, and now my grandkids are in it, so that's kind of fun to have now the next generation, in it. So I've got a 7-year-old grandson that's running motocross already and done really well, and then my other grandchildren are a little younger, but they're we go out and play in the desert, so. We'll go to. How
did you fall into motorsports?
It was from, I was 6 or 7 years old. I can remember always loving cars. It's just one of those things that's in your veins, and it's passionate and all of that. But growing up, I grew up in San Gabriel, California, in a little town. And it's that story about it takes a village to raise a kid. Mm-hmm. I had, my dad was a bartender. A car was for going from point A to point B.
Yep.
An appliance,
appliance. My mom was an opera singer. Talk about Beauty and the Beast, right?
Wow, yeah.
But the neighbor parents were into cars, into boats, into motorcycles, and so I was lucky to hang out with the kids and those parents.
Yep.
And one of the families had a cabin out in the desert, and so probably when we were 9 years old, we started going out to the desert. In the middle of nowhere then, in Victorville, but there was nothing out there then, and started riding dirt bikes. But then I grew up around that Vietnam area where the older kids had gone off to Vietnam, and those that made it back had a few bucks in their pocket, and they would buy, muscle cars, 65 Mustangs and 68 Camaros, and
the heyday.
It's something about wars that make muscle car guys.
Yeah, and Corvettes, and so I would hang out with those older brothers. And I would sit on the curb, like I could hear them coming from a block away, and I'd run out to the curb and watch them go by. And once in a while, they'd let me help them wash the cars or polish the wheels or whatever it might be. And between that and these garages that were around the neighborhood and working on cars, we had a guy down the street that was restoring old Packards and stuff, and I'd go watch him. I had a brother-in-law that was raced SECA, and he had a import car European car shop. Worked on Ferraris and Alfas and mostly Italian cars, but that was my sister's husband at the time, and I would go hang out with him and do anything. And I can remember at 11 years old changing the oil on a Ferrari.
That's cool.
Wow.
And that was, the oil dripping down your hands. And I was like, I'm in.
Yeah, we have a buddy that's actually one of Tom's employees now that was a Ferrari tech and then came to work for off-road. And when he was a Ferrari tech, I'm like, I know they're just cars, but like it's cool that like he has the opportunity, and it's cool to see your friends do cool things like work on Ferraris. And
that's a big difference going from off-road Ferrari to off-road. Yeah. I mean,
he's a Jeep guy. Like his first car was a LJ Wrangler.
Okay.
So, and he still has it. And he just he'll tell you, he's the first one to tell you, as much fun as it is, it's a miserable job because it's all paperwork. The warranty times don't pay well. Like you don't make money as a tech working on modern Ferraris because step one is remove vehicle from car to change the spark plugs or whatever it is. Yeah. And it's like he said, it's fun because you have to bed brakes at 150 miles an hour, so you're getting permission from the cops to
the local sheriff.
to go and they had a stretch of road.
They go and get permission.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Yeah, there's a really good stretch of road up by Dulles Airport that that's not heavily traveled.
Yeah,
and you can heavily travel it in a Ferrari doing good speed.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And he would say that the sheriff's officer would sit there and watch him do it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nuts.
It's not a bad day at work.
Yeah, definitely different in California.
Yeah.
So, but again, grew up around cars. Took auto shop in high school, and kind of my cool story, if you like, is that in my senior year, junior year you could take auto shop, and senior year you could take vocational auto shop. So, and vocational auto shop was 2 hours. So, October and we're in vocational auto shop, and this prominent SEMA member comes in to talk to us about careers in the automotive industry, and he's with a SEMA guy.
That's cool.
And the SEMA member is like, I'm going to give a $200 scholarship to the top mechanic or top guy in the class. And he had gone to that school, and so he was giving back to the school. And I won that scholarship.
Oh, nice.
And the guy was Mickey Thompson.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's did you save the $200?
No. So
I spent it.
Probably bought beer with it or something. I don't know. No. Anyway, so that was, and then he kind of was a mentor in my life, and so I was fortunate to, kind of have those kind of mentors.
Yeah.
Worked at a Datsun dealership right out of high school. Started racing, building cars. Built a sand buggy. Back then you used a 1835 Volkswagen, it was called a Barrett chassis.
Yep.
We used a Volkswagen 2 rear end.
Like a class 16 car almost.
Yeah. But, it was just something to go play in the desert.
Yeah.
In twin downdraft Webers. You never got them to run right, but they were fun when they did.
Yep.
Drum brakes. So, it was.
Yeah, safety was not a priority.
Yes, it wasn't.
Going fast was the only.
Little
option.
fiberglass bucket seats, kind of.
I did Votech in high school as well. Okay. Mickey Thompson didn't come visit us, but our instructor had a split window Corvette, and then he had like one of the fiberglass dune buggies.
Yep.
So I always got to tinker with the
like a Myers Max sort of replica or something.
Yep, and that was my he had paddle tires on it and the whole thing, and that led me into the off road. I bought a Jeep as my first car and everything else, but it's the Volkswagen stuff always has that special place.
Yeah, Volkswagens are so cool. No matter what you do with it, if it's a Volkswagen, it's cool. Or I'll say an air-cooled Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and I went into the import car. I worked at this Datsun dealership, and then started SECA racing. Went into the import car parts business. Sold a lot of Volkswagen air-cooled parts back then, and just kind of grew from there. So, but passionate about it. Still passionate today. Still love every minute what I get to do. We got to hear Travis Pastrana this morning.
That was super cool.
It was, his story is my story a little bit of just not the success in racing, but just that passion and continuing to drive and continuing to, if you work hard at it,
Kind of grind through, and you get where you need to go when you continue to grind.
Yeah, just grind and be passionate about it. And to this day, I still read every trade magazine I can and every car magazine and online now. And go to every race I can get my feet into. And we're just really fortunate to do what we love. I mean, absolutely. I'm sure all three of us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What was the transition from Datsun Tech to SEMA? Was there anything fun in between there?
A long line after that. So went from the Datsun dealership, and I literally started out of high school sweeping the floors and delivery driver of parts, and then worked out my way up to a counterman and manager of the store, and then went over to I kind of wanted to learn more than just Datsun, so I went to this import car parts chain. Back then it was called BAP Geon, and British Auto Parts was the BAP, and Geon was the Sky George Neuwirth. Anyway, I did that, worked as a counterman, then worked up to a store manager, and then worked up to a district manager, and then worked up to a VP of sales and marketing. Dang. And then left that to do my first kind of venture in a small business. And then over the years, bought and sold 5 companies. My last one was a company that did all styling accessories called Street Scene. So we did grills, grills and body kits and mirrors, and mostly in the truck market. Lower trucks, sport trucks back then. And then got into lifted trucks, and then got into Mustangs and Camaros and all that with styling accessories. So sold my portion of that company in 2013 and joined SEMA on a 3-year contract. So I'm 12 years into my 3-year contract at SEMA.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good deal for SEMA.
Yeah. So I did, it was going to be a couple-year kind of retirement gig, and I'd spent my whole life, there's a lot of story in between there, but I spent my whole life in product development, and I got a chance to work with Ford and GM and Mopar back then, and developing products and taking them to market and doing even some work for the OEs and show cars for the OEs and that sort of thing. So it was always in product development, and I came to SEMA. I was on their board at the time, and I was done with my tenure on their board, and we decided to do this thing called SEMA Garage, which is this product development center that's now been around for a few years, but helping other manufacturers take products to market. And we started the first one in Diamond Bar, California at our headquarters, and we now have one in Plymouth, Michigan. But it's a whole product development center. So what that means is, let's say you wanted to develop a new suspension for the new Ford F-150. We could help you with the CAD data. So we have the original Ford CAD data.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, for that.
So all the spacing and all the
bracketry. Yeah, the actual CAD from Ford. So we can help you with that. Let's say you wanted to redesign that suspension. We could help you with that redesign. We could 3D print the parts. We could put the parts on the car, on the truck. And so you would have all your product developed and then ready to go to manufacturing and take it to market.
Does that software become available to the aftermarket manufacturers prior to the release of the vehicle?
Sometimes, yeah.
Because I remember when the JL Wrangler came out, all of the manufacturers that we follow went out and bought one.
Yep.
And they started building from that one that they bought they tore it down and started building back up.
Yep. Yeah. So we do. We get a lot of times we get it. We just had the Toyota Land Cruiser. We had a bunch of Toyota products at our SEMA garage. Mm-hmm. We do these things called measuring sessions. So we'll have those vehicles before they come out. Toyota will give them to us, or Ford will give them to us, or Ram, whatever it might be. Yeah. We'll get those vehicles in advance, maybe 3 or 4 months in advance in most cases. We do these things called measuring sessions where manufacturers are invited to come out. We'll do scanning. We've got ferro arms, and nowadays it's so much easier. You can, if your eye can see it, you can scan it. I can scan that water.
Those 3D scanners are wild.
Yeah. And then drop it into CAD, or we get the CAD from the OE, and then work with you on product development.
I'll ask a selfish question.
Sure.
Is there any plans to have that data available to shops, small businesses? I know it's available to all the manufacturers.
Yeah, right now it's only available. So the agreements we have with the OEs is you have to be an aftermarket manufacturer.
Yeah. We just got our first Land Cruiser in our shop for the 25s, and the customer's not sure how much lift for tire and if he wants to do 35s, 37s. And I've gotten mixed information because it's all newer stuff. And it's like, oh, you can definitely fit 37s. You can definitely fit this 35. And it's back and forth. And I'm just like, can we?
So I got to tell you. So
I can measure it myself, but.
My son's got a overland company.
Okay.
My oldest son. And he got the Land Cruiser literally a week and a half before SEMA.
Oh, wow.
And we put 35s on it, put a leveling kit. He put all his overland products on it, did a little bit of graphics, tires and wheels, and I drove it to SEMA.
Oh, nice.
I got to tell you, that car, he got the top of the line one, but
they're really nice trucks.
It's got everything my wife's Mercedes has.
Yeah.
I mean, it had heads-up display, it had lane change keep, it had self-driving mode, it rode really nice, it had every bell and whistle. Really impressed. New hybrid's got power.
Yeah.
And definitely a nice truck.
Oh yeah. It's our customer. We built him a 392 Wrangler last summer.
Nice.
And now he's getting rid of that and moving to the Land Cruiser because he's like, it's just I don't need 700 horsepower to drive around on dirt fire roads.
I tell you, Toyota's got it right in especially on the west.
Yeah.
On the West Coast, especially, it's the hot thing now. I mean, Tacomas, all of them.
Yeah.
Every one of them is. They're really making some advancements, and I also love the fact that they have said hybrid all along.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they have stuck to that, and now it's turning out that was the right decision.
That's the right way to go. Yeah. We were at I was at the NADA show in Vegas 3 years ago, and everyone was debuting their new EVs.
Yeah.
And the Toyota booth, just hybrids. Not barely even plug-in hybrids. It's just the hybrids. I'm like, that's like, heck yeah, man.
Yeah. I did when I did my college degree, we had an alternative fuels class, and this was back in 2007, 2008, and the conversation then was hybrid is the future, right? Wow. Like, we know the hybrid model works. Look at ships and trains, and I mean the Prius has been around for 30 years now.
Yeah.
And it's not that the EV doesn't have its place, but hybrid is what's going to solve our problems later.
Yeah. So now where'd you go to school?
The Pennsylvania College of Technology.
Okay.
So I have a bachelor's degree in automotive technology.
Nice. So how about you guys? You guys have been passionate. I'm interviewing you now.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, but we enjoy it.
Yeah, no. So tell me about your guys' career and how did you get? What made you car guys?
I grew up 2 miles from Englishtown Raceway Park.
Okay.
So in the summers, you could hear dragsters, Top Fuel.
Yeah.
My dad would take me on the weekends. My dad is not a car guy. We always joke I have no idea how I became a mechanic. I did Votech in high school, college, bounced around. I did detailing, collision work, everything else.
Okay.
And then about 5 years ago, I opened my own. We have an off-road shop.
Nice.
Yeah. So we've been friends for, I don't know, 7-8 years at this point.
Nice.
Like I got away from off-roading at some point in my young adult life, and when I moved to Virginia, I had BMWs. I was into autocross and everything, and met these guys, and was just like, I got to get back into off-roading, and started building Jeeps. Next thing I knew, I was taking days off of work to build Jeeps in my driveway. My wife basically kicked me out of the driveway during COVID. I had 14 customer cars in my driveway.
No way.
Yeah. And my wife was like, I think it's time, like, you explore this seriously. And I was like, okay. And 5 years later, 6 months ago, we just moved into a bigger shop.
Good for you guys. I love those stories.
Yeah. So it's Tim was my first unofficial part-time unpaid intern in the driveway.
Beer money and pizza.
Yeah. Feed him, and we were doing lift kits. I think for me, my first realization that I needed to get out of the home garage was we did a Jeep on 37s, and we had to take the tires off to get it back out of the garage.
Oh, because it was too high.
Yeah, the doors are it's only an 8-foot door. And,
nice.
That was like, he had a full-time job, and I was like, you want to quit your job? He's like, you can't afford me.
Yes.
But and the podcast is what, 2 years now?
2 years, yep.
Good for you guys.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I got my start. My dad had I ruined it. So my dad bought a CJ7 in 84 or 83, but brand new. He graduated the Coast Guard Academy, bought that Jeep, and that was actually my first car. So I grew up working on it with him, doing lifts, tires, wheeling, and my neighborhood had a farm behind it, so we would wheel the neighbor's property with his permission. And then that turned into dirt bikes, and then 2009 Transformers came out, and I was already a car guy. I already loved the car. I could not care less about Megan Fox, but I fell in love with Bumblebee. So it was, you said the yellow alien.
Yep.
I fell in love with Bumblebee, and later that year, in 2009, I bought a 1971 Camaro, split bumper RS.
Nice.
And we slowly started working on that and just kind of spiraling downhill. It's currently sitting in my shed with a unbuilt LS in it and hasn't ran in 6 years. But,
Okay. I have plenty of those projects too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dirt bikes, so the dirt bike was along with all of that. I grew up riding dirt bikes too with the Jeep. And then the area we live in is right by Dulles Airport, and that's Data Center Nation now.
Yeah.
So we would go take the Jeep out and the dirt bikes out on what used to be a hobbyist RC plane club, and they had little hills to ride up and down and all that stuff. So we would ride there. Well, that sold, so I sold the dirt bike to buy my first truck. Wait, that's not right.
Then you sold the CJ to buy the Camaro.
So no, we had the CJ up until I
Can't
blew
keep
it
track
up.
of them all.
I know.
Yeah.
We had the
We all have this.
I stopped counting
Yeah.
somewhere in the 40-ish range.
we had the CJ until I blew it up. It was my daily driver when I was a kid working at a shop. I worked at an NTB, changing tires, changing oil. I got my first paycheck, and I said, heck yeah, I'm going to throw 35s on it. I never rear-geared it, blew up the transmission. Blew up the transmission 3 times. I couldn't afford to fix it the 3rd time. So I sold it.
How many tie rod ends?
Yeah, that was the truck.
Oh, that's right.
So I sold the Jeep to a machine shop that ended up doing work on the Camaro.
They still have it.
They still have it. He's actually attending the show this week. But yeah, it's been a spiral of puzzling. It's been fun, and it's helped me get through a lot of things. Is the automotive industry is kind of guided my life from my adulthood. As I tried to do the college thing, it didn't work out for me. I couldn't focus in class, but whenever I was sitting in class, I was always excited to go back to the auto shop and go change oil and work on cars and change tires and all that stuff. And it's led me to the fire department, which led me to my current job and led me all my good friends.
Yeah, that's it. It's such a great community of people,
really
and
is.
it's the SEMA show and the PRI show are like old home week, and just seeing everybody and friends, and even fierce competitors in my life were still best friends. Play pranks on each other, and whatever it might be. But it's just such a great community of people, and we're all passionate about the same things, and even all the different genres of off-road, or whether again it's I've talked to lowrider guys, I've talked to lifted truck guys, I talked to lowered truck guys, I talked to drag racing guys, all of that, and there's that common red thread between all of us of just this love for cars, and we're fortunate that we get to make a living in our hobby.
As we were talking about this morning at the breakfast, how we've always felt as the younger generation. I remember in high school, showing up to a cruise night in my lowered BMW, and a lot of the old school Corvette guys would give us the side eye and be like, "Oh, you kids, you don't know a real car. Like, get that Hot Wheels car out of here," whatever it was. And it's the off-road community is always welcoming. It's like every bit of it, whether you're an overlander, a rock crawler, whatever it is, it's a very welcoming community, and the motorsports community seems to follow that.
Right.
Where it doesn't really matter if you're into this, we understand.
Yeah.
And it's it's nice. It's a fun segment for us to kind of be on the sideline for, because there's off-road racing and everything else, but the rest of the car stuff, just as car guys, and I can appreciate it. Yeah. Like wandering the halls, I'm just like, it's a completely different level than what I do every day.
Right.
And it's fun.
Yeah. The way I was thinking about it is, we've attended SEMA 2 years.
Yeah.
I've only ever been once, but 2 years. This is our first time at PRI. I look at PRI as SEMA's little brother, but stronger little brother.
Yeah.
Is like when it comes to horsepower, and like racing, it's the little brother that's kind of overshadowed by by the big guy, but he's out here and he's gonna pack a punch. And walking through the halls, it's as like a casual car guy, walking through the halls here is very intimidating because you're like, oh, I didn't know, like you said, like I didn't know that part even existed. What does that even do?
Right. Yeah, it's this is a very passionate crowd, but it's a different crowd. I mean, if you're not in a black hoodie and jeans, right? And greasy tennis shoes,
Which it's funny because on that point, this is all car guys. Like hardcore gearheads, where SEMA is very much a business-oriented show,
and they're both B2B. Although a lot of racers come here, so SEMA is a business-to-business. It's manufacturers selling to buyers of part stores and chains and those sorts of things. We do have a consumer day on Friday, but the rest of the week is business-to-business, and it's a well-matured, established 57 years now, the trade show, and 62 years as a trade association, going strong. We are, the economic output between SEMA and PRI is $337 billion a year. And so it's a huge industry that we all make our living out of, and, very important industry. And I'm excited to be just part of that, right? And, of course, we do more than just the shows every day, right? I like to tell people what we do the other 361 days a year, which is a lot of legislation. Look, I'm a car guy through and through, and I like to get my hands dirty still, and I'm passionate about the industry, and I'm probably a business guy. I never expected to be in the legislative side and working in D.C. and calling on lobbyists and congresspeople and lawmakers and all of that to fight for our industry. But we do a lot of that. We have several divisions of SEMA PRI that just do different products, but different things. We obviously got a marketing department, but we have the SEMA Garage, we have a SEMA Data program, we have these councils and networks. For your guys' side, that would be Tora, the off-road group that focuses on off-road. But there's all these different segments of SEMA that we do to support the industry and to protect the industry.
Yeah, I was blown away at the Washington rally and how involved you guys actually are in the legislation. That's where we originally met, was the Washington rally at dinner that night.
Right.
And we got a chance to talk to Senator Mark Maynard and Tom Zielinski and Dave Cole, and really get into what SEMA and PRI is doing to influence politics. It sounds like, I hate politics. It sounds wild, but like it's the one thing I care about. It's the one thing that I'll actually sign. I get the written email from SEMA. Put your name on this, sign it, send it to your legislator. It's the one thing I'll sign and send to my legislator.
I hate I get suspicious when there's this big brother or warning. People try to use scare tactics to get you to do something. So I'm always leery of that, and I try to make sure that we don't do that in what we do. But it is a warning, and it is scary, and it is at a stroke of a pen, and sometimes you don't even know about it till it happens. Somebody shuts down a recreation vehicle area. We've been fighting to keep the lands open for off-road sport.
Moab's been a big example of that recently.
We do. I try and push that for like my customers and the people we try and reach, because SEMA very much has that stigma of like, oh, it's business, it's trade show, it's that, and I honestly try and post anytime I get the Action Network email for Virginia. I'll try and share it as a shop and say like, hey, just so you know, this is happening in your state. This affects your Jeep that you bring to my shop and you drive every day.
Yeah. Also, great job on the recent the merch line for the Action Network.
Oh yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah,
that was so cool.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked that.
I was hoping to find some here.
I was hoping to have it before the show, but I got the email like last week. But it's
the RDC team is really good. Yeah. You guys have met Karen.
Yeah, I saw position hiring. I'm like, oh, could I do that? I'm like, I probably couldn't do that.
No, it's really interesting, and but you do learn. It's look, they're all these senators and congressmen and all that. They're no different than you and I. Right?
There's car guys.
A lot of times they're car guys, or if they're not, they're just business guys, and you can't be intimidated by them. And you got to go in and say, whatever it is, you're screwing us up. And you're affecting these businesses and you're affecting these areas. And of course, we got to be good stewards as well, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
The days of rolling coal are done, and those give us a black eye.
Yeah.
Yep.
And cleaning up after yourself in the desert, all that sort of stuff. And I'm all for going out and having fun and partying and doing whatever, but we also got to be responsible because they find that stuff and they pick on us, and that's what shuts things down. So
you mentioned getting out and still turning wrenches. How often do you actually get in the garage and put a nut on a bolt? And
I do. It's this. I'll say this. I love to do it. I do it often as I can. I'm probably a Saturday a month right now, which is not enough.
More than
You're
I
better
do.
than me, and I do it professionally full time.
So, but I'll tell you this: it kills me. In fact, just before walking in here, I had to call a friend to pick up a car and take it to a mechanic. Because I've got a 70 Datsun Z that's I just don't have time to work on.
Yeah.
And the other thing happens when you have a few cars is I don't get a chance to drive them enough. So, I'll pull something out of the garage, I'll get it running again, I'll get it. Sometimes you got to take the carburetors apart or whatever it might be, and get it running again and take it out for a couple of days and then put it away. And then 6 months later, you drag it out and you got to do it again.
all over,
yeah. So it's so I am paying people now to do my cars, and it's not. I mean, money's obviously you got to watch what you spend, but it's not the money thing. It's the pride. It's I can't say I worked on that, or I can't say
we legitimately had that fight yesterday.
Did you? Yeah.
We were in a Sheetz gas station in a snowstorm trying to get the belt back on the alternator on his car with nothing but a 3/8 ratchet. And we were both elbow deep, numb, shoes were wet, and we were like, let's just limp it to a shop. And it ended up being an alternator replacement in 4 hours. And the two of us I'm like, I think this is the second time I've ever been in a waiting room of a shop waiting for something to get fixed in my life. I've never had to drop a car off at a shop before.
Yeah, we were coming through the mountains of West Virginia right by Morgantown. And my car, 2009 Sonata, but it's just my daily driver. I don't want to drive my Jeep up here. That wouldn't be a fun ride. But it dropped the nut off the alternator. So the pulley came off. The nut came off and the pulley came off. Yep. Everything was intact and the belt was fine. So we scrambled and found a Napa.
Coasted down the hill on I-68 in the rain and snow. It was a fun afternoon.
It was the pride of we just can't do this. We can't do this in the wet, in the rain. And it destroyed me.
Trying to respect the shop and not wander out there and be like, "How you guys doing?" It's been 3 hours. Are you done yet?
Turns out we should have walked there a little earlier.
Yeah. Do you know that was a 12 millimeter, right? Not a it's not a half inch. It's 12 millimeter.
Yeah, it's like you're still burping the radiator over there. Yeah. Really? It's been an hour. Yeah, it's you guys need help.
Yeah, I get the pride aspect of so wanting to work on your own stuff, not having the time or not having the ability. My ability when I run out of ability, it's always nice because I know I have smarter friends.
You just call me.
Yeah, my smarter friend is right here.
Yeah. It is. There's some pride in whatever it is you build, right? And then taking it off and testing it off road or whatever it might be. There's definitely a lot of pride in that. And I don't know. I don't like to wimp out either. But even at my age, you start to say, well, I can't do this as much as I want. I'm busy. This job really keeps me busy still, and I still try to balance some time with the family and my wife. 42 years, so there's just so many hours in the day. And
does she ever get on you for not finishing projects?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's my biggest pride is actually being able to go, look, I finished one. Yeah, I did it.
I don't know that she gets on me, but she definitely. Probably my kids get on me more than she does.
Okay,
especially I've got a car in the garage right now that it's been apart for a few years, and I've got a 67 Datsun 2-liter Solix car, which they only made a few hundred of, low windshield sports car.
Cool.
And doing a frame off on it. And I was telling my youngest son a couple of days ago I was going to move that over to another garage I have. And he said, Dad, if you move that, it'll be 10 years before it comes back to your garage. You're not going to touch it over there.
You're not going to
touch it over there. So, leave it here and work on it. But I'm probably going to end up paying somebody to put that car together too.
Yeah, I get that.
It's just, I love this job. I love what I do. I'm passionate about it, and I'm going to do it for a few more years, and I'm going to give it my best, while I do it. So, we've got some big things we want to get done in the next few years. Developing a new team that I think can I talk about it all the time about the next 10 years. When I'm hiring somebody now, I'm like, know that I need you here for at least 10 years, and this is what I need you to get done, and here's the roadmap, and try to mentor as much as I can now and direct where this thing's got to go, because I kind of feel like I'm the sandwich generation, the Iskies of the world, where those were the guys that started the business, Vic Edelbrock's and all those guys, Parnelli Jones and Mickey Thompson, all those guys started this industry, and then my generation came along, and next is you guys, right? And so I'm kind of the sandwich generation that's taking it from these guys that are now, if they're still around, they're 90 to 100 years old.
Yeah.
Iski's 103.
Is he really?
Yeah, I got to interview him. You saw that video.
Yeah, the video was great.
So, but then it's time for me to pass on, what I know and what I see to your generation, so that we can keep this industry going.
So is part of passing that on it seems like it's a new redivision of SEMA and PRI with the hire of Michael Good. Yeah. Because he's new this year. Because you originally had both positions.
I did. Yeah. So, he's come on, and he'll be the PRI president. I'm CEO, so we'll eventually hire a SEMA. I'm president and CEO of SEMA, and then CEO of PRI. But we'll eventually hire a president for SEMA. I'll work with that person for a while, and then, at some point, I would stay another 10 years.
Yeah.
I've got enough energy, and I've got enough passion and all that. But I also know to make sure that this thing is in good hands, I need to pass it off to somebody younger than me that can fight, that can take it another 20 years and go for something.
Sure.
And really lead the way. So, selfishly, I'd love to stay, but I know that it'll be in good hands, and that we'll continue this fight. We'll continue to do what we do for our industry and be passionate about it and protect.
Yeah.
And understand what government's trying to do in some cases. These EV mandates I've been very vocal about. So I'm all for EVs. I'm all for EV. EVs have their place, and they're great for if that's what your needs are.
Yep.
But the government shouldn't tell you that's what you have to drive.
Yeah, it's a cool technology, but I don't think it's the right technology for right now. Yeah.
So it needs infrastructure. It needs all those sorts of things. We're still working on range and those sorts of things. But there was 17 states. We're down to 15 states that have said it's EV and EV only. I'm in California. Yep. It's 25% of cars have to be EV by 2026, and 100% by 2035, and we're fighting that. We think they've got their place. We think if you want that, that's what you should. It should be up to the consumer.
Yeah.
But if you want a diesel truck, then you should be able to go buy a diesel truck. If you want an ICE engine, whatever it is,
I think it's wild how the most popular EV brand is being so overlooked by the federal government right now too.
Yeah.
Is the fact that Tesla is being ignored so heavily by the federal government and what they're doing for EVs is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. And and of course again, there's hydrogen. We think that's got a future, especially in heavy duty truck. Yep. There's low sulfite fuels. There's all sorts of technologies. There's propane. There's probably fuels out there we don't know about yet.
Excuse me. And we should allow technology to continue to innovate and not be told they can't.
Right. Yeah, because it does in every other industry. Literally every other industry, technology or the customer decides what they want and what they're going to do.
Right.
And for some reason, automotive is, hey, this is what you got to do. You don't have a choice. Go for it and go now.
Yeah. And look at we were talking about Toyota and hybrid. There's a report out that says if we adopt hybrid, hydrogen, low sulfite fuels, electric cars, we develop all these different technologies, and if we're allowed to continue with them, we actually get to cleaner air sooner than if we wait for EV.
Sure.
So it's also cleaner technology too, because you're not hurting people to get those critical minerals for the battery.
Right. Yeah, there's all of that. There's all the mining, and there's all of the child labor. There's all the, the footprint of everything's got a carbon footprint, right?
Yeah. No matter how hard you try.
Yeah. And in the EPA regs, it used to be that they measured what I call cradle to grave. So they measure carbon footprint from manufacturing, time on the road, and then recycle. In the new EV regs for EV, in the new EPA regs for EV, they've taken out the manufacturing footprint and the carbon and the recycle.
So the most important part.
Yeah.
Yeah. so they're only measuring time on the road.
Yeah.
Which is just unfair.
Yeah. Oh, it's designed to make it easier for them to push the EVs in line with what they want, and that's always been my biggest thing is, it's like you said, they have their place, but it's not a replacement, and it shouldn't be. No replacement should be forced on anybody.
Right.
And it's I've always joked. I've said I want to be the old guy in the neighborhood that once a week goes out and starts the old carbureted car. The kids come running, going, "Oh my God, it's gas!" Like,
and what's that manual transmission?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, which is crazy because I think now that exists, right? Like I don't even have to be the old guy in the neighborhood. I'm just the regular guy in the neighborhood. But
yeah, if you drive the rock crawler down the street, someone's turning their head looking at it. If the Cherokee ever moves again, I drive it to church and someone's like, "What the heck is that?"
Yeah, Trevor, our other host who's not here this week, but he's got a Comanche that we put a small block Chevy in, and we just towed it to his house from the shop. It's open header, and
No way.
Oh yeah, open header, small block cammed. It's on like 40-inch mud trains.
Sounds awesome.
Body's all wrinkled, and we're backing it off the trailer at 7:00 at night in the dark in the middle of his subdivision. And like I'm watching lights come on in the neighborhood. I'm like, oh boy,
we're in trouble.
Here we go. And he's like, it just crawls right up the curb and into the driveway. And he said the next morning he had both neighbors on either side of him were like, what is that?
Yeah.
And I didn't know you did that.
Yeah. And he's like, and he works at the shop. He's my front end manager. So he was like, this is what I do all day.
I live in a fairly tree hugger community as well in Southern California, which is all tree huggers anyway. But mostly, I shouldn't say that. Yeah. But when my kids were little, younger anyway, we would take our 2-stroke bikes up and down the street.
Oh, yeah.
Just throw them back in the garage.
Now they throw you in jail for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And wait for the cops to show up, But that was always fun.
Yeah, I've got a coworker now that she's got a 9-year-old. And she lives not far from the shop in a subdivision in Sterling, Virginia. And she bought him a dirt bike. And she was recently told that her son can no longer ride the dirt bike in the common area.
Yeah.
And I'm like, heck yeah, because that's what I did. I grew up in Ashburn, Virginia, and we had a common area behind the house, and I'd rip around the dirt bike. But I would never let the neighbors know which house I lived in, so I never got in trouble. I don't suggest that. Don't do that, kids.
We have this small town I'm in. We have a 4th of July parade, and my now oldest son, when he was 6, I put him on a little PW50 in the parade, and he was riding this thing up and down this parade and doing all sorts of things. And he got right to the center of town and tried to wheelie it and came off the bike. And anyway, and everybody kind of applauded when he got back up and got back on the bike. But 2 weeks later, the bulletin came out for the neighborhood, for the city. It was like, we will no longer allow motorcycles in the parade. So we're the guys that ruined it for everybody else.
It's always fun when you get like a rule or a policy
written about
made for you. I've had a few in the fire department world that have gotten written for things I've done. Yeah. Some unfairly, some justified, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
How often do you get to get out and actually like recreate? Like, do you do any racing still, or do you?
No, no, I haven't had a chance. We still get out and go off-roading.
Okay.
And we'll do King of Hammers this year again. We did it last year.
It's on the list. We can't make it. I can't make it this year. Yeah. Tom's trying to convince himself he can.
It's not me I got to convince, but yeah. I have a 18-month-old at home, so it's going away for 2 weeks after being gone this week is going to be a tough
challenge, yeah. So, we'll go out and do track days, but my kids are so much faster than me now, and it's embarrassing. But so I don't get a chance to do that much. We do try to get out and do some off-roading. I had a funny thing last year at King of the Hammers. My kids wanted to get me into a razor. So they were in kind of LA area. My youngest son drove down to San Diego and picked up this razor, and we took it out to King of the Hammers, and my wife and I rode around it for a few days and had a blast. And we had the grandkids there and kids, and we dirt bikes and all of our side-by-sides, all of our stuff out there, and just had a ball camping. and just had a great time. A few weeks go by, and my youngest son said, "Hey, Dad, I got a chance to flip the Razor.
I got a chance to flip the Razor.
Can I? I can make a few bucks on it. I'm going to sell it."
I thought you meant like
no, flip it. Yeah, flip it like sell it. So I'm like, yeah, okay, go. So he sells the Razor. I don't know if I should tell the story. He sells the Razor, and my wife and I had been out in all this whole time, and we never put it in our name. It was one of those things. Bought it, took it off roading, and anyway. He sells it. The car goes to Arizona. The guy calls him from Arizona and says, "Are you missing anything?" And my son said, "No." And he goes, "Did you leave anything in the glove box?" And my son said, "No. Why?" He said, "There's a in the glove box."
Oh, wow.
So,
oh boy.
So
How did that happen?
We had bought this car in San Diego.
Whoops.
Never looked in the glove box. Took it out. Now you imagine me, CEO of SEMA, with my wife, and we're in our 60s, right? We're off-roading this thing. You imagine we gotten pulled over
man.
And cop had said, "Can you open the glove box and give me the registration?" Falls out.
Whoa.
And anyway, whoever we bought it from
lost some money that
lost
day.
some money that night. Yeah. And didn't realize it.
Maybe that's why they let it go so cheap.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, it was just one of those. Now I look back at it and it was like, well, that was scary, but
close call. Yeah,
that would have been. I would have had a hard time explaining to my board of directors that, my wife and I weren't transporting across the desert.
Speeding ticket, justifiable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Johnson Valley.
Yeah. So
back in the 90s, some questionable things happened.
Yeah, for sure. They still do out there.
Yeah.
That's I call that Burning Man meets SEMA.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just crazy Burning Man stuff, but there's also this business like a SEMA, and there's. I don't know, but there's 100,000 people out there.
Yeah, roughly 100,000 people.
Yeah, off-roading and just 2 weeks of just craziness and racing and, the rock crawling out there with, is it Chocolate Thunder? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, back doors, the big obstacle.
God, that thing's just nuts.
It doesn't make sense.
And you go out there at midnight and there's just 40... You name the kind of rock crawler trying to go up this thing, and they flip backwards, and the whole crowd starts screaming and yelling.
They flip them over and try it again.
Yeah, and they're lighting fireworks, and it's just this huge party scene that's just crazy, amazing.
It doesn't sound fun at all.
Well, and then wrapped around the unlimited off-road racing,
right?
Is the like you have the
crazy part's not the racing.
Yeah, the Burning Man festival style rock crawling and debauchery, and then you have 40
serious multi-million-dollar race teams.
50 multi-million-dollar race teams and 4,400 cars.
Well, now and they do all the trophy truck stuff now too. So it just adds to the craziness.
How many years have you gone out to the lake bed for hammers?
Not many. So I did it several years ago, and I've probably only been out there 4 times maybe. But it's grown and it's grown, and I'm pretty sure we'll be out again this year. I try to, get out and play, and work at the same time. So I'll go to a lot of races and do some of it as business and some of it as pleasure, and just run into people, and even on. We had a chance a couple weekends ago to go to the Formula One race, and
that's cool.
And I took vacation time to go do it, and it was just my wife and I. But at the end, she said, how many days vacation you take? And I said 2. She said, you should turn 1 back in. She said, because you spent at least a day doing business.
Just networking, shaking hands.
Yeah, and talking business and whatever. But that's our community, right? That's just, and you just run into people that you know. And
I mean, it's work, but it's not work.
It is,
I justify this trip as a work trip, but it's just as much fun as it is work.
Right.
Like,
hanging out, talking to cool people.
Yeah.
Rubbing elbows. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's we're all passionate people. We all love this industry. We're all, blessed enough to make a living at it. And, but we get to work along the other side of passionate people who get it, who, are just, you get in that car and fire it up. And if it's an open header car or whatever it might be, or, and tear off through the desert or rock crawling or whatever form of off-roading or track racing you like, it's just, there's nothing like it. And we all think that we are, the fastest guys out there, you know.
Oh, I know I'm not.
Yeah.
I've really related to Travis this morning talking about the overconfident, underprepared thing. Like that is me
100%,
to a T. And it's like I am all about. I'll figure it out when I get there.
Yeah.
Like I've never run a business before. Started one in my backyard. It's 5 years, and I'm still going. Ooh, I screwed that up.
Yeah.
Like, I'll figure this out later. But yeah, it's
when I came to SEMA, I came as I said to do it for 3 years and just run the SEMA garage. And my wife said to me, we knew the previous CEO really well. He was in my neighborhood, lives in my neighborhood. And she said, would you ever take that job? I said, not on your life. Who wants to work that hard and do all of that? And then it got offered to me, and I was like, yeah, give me the
keys.
Give me the keys.
Yep.
And it's just been a thrill. It's just been, it's hard. It's a lot of hard hours. It's a lot of hard decisions. It's a lot of getting people to believe in what you believe in. I got a great team. If I've had any success in business and life, it's surrounding yourself with the best people you can and trusting them and giving them guidance and letting them run. And I'm blessed to have that. We've found the right team. I had to make some changes, honestly, but we found the right team, and it's really starting to perform. And you can see it. You can see it in the shows. You can see it in everything we're doing. You can see it in our government affairs.
So I imagine the show is like 10% of SEMA's actual business, and the rest of it is lobbying and dealing with manufacturers and shops too. So the glitz and glamour looks like the whole thing.
It does,
but it's
4 days a year. Now our show teams, the show ended on Friday. That Monday they had a download of what worked and what didn't, and the following week they started on next year's show.
Yeah, it's amazing. These show teams are amazing.
Yeah, so they do that full time, and I check in with them and I get regular updates, and every Monday we have a meeting, but they're great at what they do. But it's like you're right. That is the other divisions, and it's what I talk about. We do the other 361 days a year, and people think I live in Las Vegas because the show's in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But we of course we have our offices in Diamond Bar, California, and our SEMA garage in Diamond Bar, California. We have a product development center in Plymouth, Michigan. It's just amazing where we do emissions work. So, if you build any product that affects fuel or air, it has to go through a CARB EO or EPA sign off. And we have 2 certified labs that do that work. So we're constantly, whether it's the new C8 Corvette that we're putting a supercharger on and getting it emission certified or whatever that might be, you name it, and we're got it in the garage and we're doing the emissions work on it. It's on the dyno. We're doing all the testing and certifying those products. We work on this product development stuff. So
that's cool that it's not just on that individual manufacturer to get that done, that you guys are helping them do that.
We fill out the paperwork. We apply for the CARB EO. We do the testing. We submit the paperwork. We help them.
How much fine tuning has to go into like a product like a supercharger to get it from like raw product handed to you guys to actually get it to pass all the EPA and the CARB EO standards?
Yeah, so the manufacturers, whether that's Magnuson, who's here at the show, so if they're doing that supercharger for the new Corvette, for the new Corvette, the C8, they'll actually typically, and we may be handing them the CAD data, but they'll do the development of the part, but then they'll bolt that on the car, or we'll bolt it on the car. We'll do all that lab work. We'll help them dial it in. We'll tell them when they're high in NOx or whatever it might be, and we'll help them get as close as they can to getting that product clean. And then we'll do that testing. We'll certify that product. We'll send that paperwork into CARB. We help them get their EO so they can sell that product.
That's awesome.
So if you sell a product without going through that testing, CARB can come after you, and EPA can come after you.
Oh, yeah. We've seen it in the diesel industry of what happens when that happens. The diesel industry is under attack right now.
Yeah, and some of that's our own fault of this rolling coal stuff. Right? The DPF delete thing just gives us. It's sort of like again, it's like guys going off roading and leaving trash out in the middle of the desert, right? I mean that we're off roading. I mean that just gives us all a black eye. So look, I'm all for power. I'm all for having fun. I'm all for being on the edge of the law. When you start rolling coal, it just gives us all a bad name. It gives us all a bad name, and that's what makes EPA and CARB come after us for everything else.
You're not even really making more power. You're just making a mess.
Yeah.
Like there's a way you can achieve what you want without having to show it off.
Yeah. So we help with all that kind of stuff, and we do a lot of diesel work. So that's fun. That's cool. And I meet with CARB and EPA on a regular basis on a lot of that sort of stuff.
I think it's a really underrated thing that SEMA does as an organization that people probably don't realize that product that 20 years ago that they would have bought didn't have to go through all those certifications,
right.
and now that they're buying that same product for their new Corvette, and they're just swiping the card, right? They're picking it out of the catalog, whatever it is, not realizing all the extra work that goes into them still being able to put a supercharger on it.
I would say as an enthusiast growing up, I knew SEMA as the show. I didn't even know that side of the business existed, not even realizing that other than the show, love the show team, love the show staff. Like it's the entire side of the business. Like
right. Yeah, it's all that. We're doing a lot of work right now, and we're on the leading edge of this on all the ADAS technologies, all the driving assistant programs, because we're trying to understand what happens when you lift a truck.
Yep.
And how do those cameras still work, and how does self-braking still work, and how does lane change departure warning work? What happens to the backup camera? All of that, because so we're on the leading edge of that. 2029, NHTSA says automatic braking is going to be mandatory. Yep. And so
I love my wife's car has it. I love it.
Oh, it's awesome.
I set cruise control.
I mean, it's great, but I
set the steering wheel. I just put a finger on the steering wheel. It brakes. It accelerates. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Do you remember the expedition we had for going to your bachelor party? I had to drive the expedition with all of us in it, adaptive cruise control, and that thing would just rip the biggest downshifts in that 10-speed transmission, and I'm like, whoa, like we're just going from 75 to 78. We don't need to go to fourth gear. Like, just so aggressive, and it would just.
There was a lot of man in that.
We did the math. It was like 2,000 pounds of dude in the truck. Wow. We have some big friends. Him and I are probably some of the smaller guys in our friend group, but.
So we're doing that work now to understand what happens when you lift a truck, right? Or you lower a vehicle or whatever it might be. So we've spent several $100,000. We've put a lab in our Plymouth.
It's a lot of square footage.
Yeah. Have you? Yeah.
I talked to our neighbor who does general auto repair, and I was like, hey, do you guys have plans? Because I know I'm going to need it at some point, and I don't have 2,500 square feet I can dedicate to the machine. Right. I'm like, you guys probably need it, right? He's like, nope, I'll outsource it to the dealer.
Like, we're doing that work both static and dynamic. So we've got the lab in Plymouth, Michigan that does the static work. So we'll take a F-150, test it stock, and then we do it also dynamically. So you've seen on these test tracks where they run the car down the road and then a balloon car goes in front of it, or a person goes in front of it and sees if it stops. We do that work as well over in Ohio at a group called TRC. But we'll do it we'll take the new F-150, do it stock, both static and dynamic, see how it reacts, and then put 11 on kit, and then we'll do a 3-inch lift with 35s both ways, and then we'll do a 6-inch lift kit. And we're testing all those features to understand what happens to the car.
To make sure they still function.
They still function right. And so we've done the Dodge Ram, we've done the Tacoma, we've done 5 vehicles so far.
Is that on the aftermarket to correct that, or is that on the manufacturer of the vehicle to correct it?
Yeah, aftermarket. So we're trying to understand what happens when you do those things, and there are some issues. So we put out some white papers on it. So now we're at the point where we understand what's going on. How do we address it? Yeah. Is it a software deal? Is it a mechanical deal? How
does the software deal work with the manufacturers trying to lock down the computers?
Yeah, so no different than a tune. Different than you can go. There's 5 or 6 guys here at the PRI show that
just start voiding warranties.
Yeah, that do tunes for vehicles. We're looking at that technology now. Global B is a little tougher, which is some of this newer stuff. The new Ford F-150 is going to definitely be tougher. But the Corvette C8's Global B, and we're able to put superchargers on it now, so people find out ways to do these things. Yeah. But we're going to have to understand that technology so that we can get help our manufacturers develop products that that are safety tested, and that we can continue. We're going to have to figure it out because we want to continue to be able to lift trucks.
Are you finding the OEs are supportive of this, or they're pretty?
No, they
locking it down.
Yeah, I think we'll get somewhere with some of them for sure.
Yeah.
I think once we completely understand it and we figure out corrective ways. Look, at the end of the day, we've got this. We actually do have a great relationship with the OEs because at the end of the day, all they really want to do is sell more cars.
Right.
So, don't. This isn't verbatim, so don't use this example. But let's just say we get the Dodge truck to after our lift kit, we are able to use this technology to get it back in compliance, and we can't with Ford. It's in Ford's best interest that they help us so that we can.
Because then the consumer is going to lead towards the Dodge because they can modify it.
Right. And so I think at the end of the day we'll be able to get them to come along. We're still on the research side.
Sure.
But it's in everybody's. People are going to modify their vehicles, and the OEs understand that. They may try to do their own products and their own accessories, but people buy vehicles based on their ability to modify them. Yeah, at least in our industry, and it's not this small little cottage industry; it's a big industry, and so the ability to work alongside the OEs is going to become more and more critical because we all want safe vehicles. Look, at the end of the day, if that vehicle gets lifted and gets in an accident, some of that's perceivably going to be on the OE.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping to work in coordination with them. We're in this research stage now. I think we'll get some success at some point, but we'll put the arm on them as we learn more.
Heck yeah. So they're going to be kicking us out here in a few minutes. One of my favorite questions to ask sometimes is what's your dirt drive? What keeps you going in the automotive industry? Why do you, when you're have a family that loves you, wants you at home, wants you to do things, why do you keep going? What's your dirt drive?
So I'll answer this a little different. Let me say it this first. People ask me a lot, in the businesses I've run and the things I'm doing now, what's the hardest thing? I mean, what's your hardest thing in life? And it is just that. For me, it is that work-life balance of, excuse me, I love what I do. And I want to support my family financially. So, I've always wanted to work hard to financially support my family. But they also need me, right? And so finding that balance between work and life, excuse me, it's been always difficult for me because I can spend more time with my family and I love it. I can also spend time at work and I love it. And I'm fortunate that my kids love the automotive industry as well, so that helps. But I think just that passion we kept hearing about earlier this morning, just look, the ability to hang out here with you guys. I'm sorry.
It's very dry in here. We had this conversation earlier. I've been chugging water.
The ability to hang out with you guys, the ability to meet new people and learn what they're doing and understand them, and for me now, maybe mentoring up that next generation to fight for our industry. It's been good to me. It's look, I wasn't a football star. I wasn't I barely made it through. D for me was diploma. So I wasn't.
D's get degrees.
Yeah, D's get degrees. Yeah. So. I wasn't good at some of that stuff, but I was good about selling parts and making parts and being in this industry. I've been able to make it a good living at it, and there's only one president and CEO of SEMA, and it happens to be right now, and it's a great honor.
Yeah. Well, I think I would say SEMA as an organization, I've seen it grow and expand, and what it's done for me and being able to grow my career and my hobby and everything, it's great to be a part of, and I think you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, thank you.
I would say thank you from myself, the guys at the shop. It does make our lives easier and more enjoyable, and allows us to provide for our families.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it is. It's an honor to be part of this. It's an honor to be in my seat. I take it seriously, and again, to be able to protect and grow our industry is really important to me. And to hand it off to you guys.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah, thank you.
Lauren, you want to come over here quick? You want to come over here quick? No.
Yeah, come on, Lauren. Lauren's my assistant. She's here right now.
Yeah, she helps set all this up.
Yep. You're on camera.
She's fantastic. Thank you to you and to all of your staff that helped set this up. It's been a real honor to sit down and talk to you.
Honor to be with you guys as well and to get to know you a little better. Oh, look at that. She's
on it.
She's like the Mary Poppins. I can ask her for anything and she pulls it out of her purse.
It's magic.
And has it.
Where can people find you personally if they want to keep track of what you're
so Spag Senior on Instagram, Mike Spagnola on Facebook, and email is Mike Spagnola, Mike S at SEMA.org. So
it works.
Yeah.
I'm proof.
Yeah. We've been texting each other or emailing each other on a few things. So, thank you guys again. Always great to hang out with guys like you and learn more about you guys and your business and what you guys do and talk cars. How much cooler does it get to be?
It does
get paid to do this, right?
Yeah.
In the racing capital of the world.
In the racing capital of the world.
Yeah. So, maybe do it in the summer. It's a little cold.
Yeah, 16 degrees marching over here for breakfast.
I'll bet. And I'm out your way sometimes as well, so maybe I'll come see the shop.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be back for the Washington Rally. We're going again this year.
Yeah.
We're going to be involved and be on Capitol Hill. So
Okay, good.
Maybe I'll actually clean the Jeep. I still have dust from Moab from May of this year.
Okay.
And then maybe I'll clean it
Moab's
up and
awesome.
park it on Constitution Ave.
Yeah, Moab's awesome as well. We've been out to Moab. That was kind of for my boys the rite of passage at 16 to go out there and go play. So
cool.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, you guys know where to find us everywhere social at the Dirt Drive, Facebook, Instagram. YouTube is DirtNerds Off-Road. I don't know when this comes out. There's probably a new YouTube video going up on Friday, or there was one that came out on Friday. We're working hard to get more active on YouTube. We're doing videos. We're having fun. We're doing cool content, hopefully. We appreciate you guys for watching. We appreciate you, Mike and Lauren, for helping us out, helping us get here, and putting on a great show, because this isn't your show. Not anymore.
No, it's I got over a responsibility, but I got a great team. Mike Good's very good, and he did a great speech this morning for sure.
Yeah.
And this team just gets it, man. They live and breathe this, and they, again, I get to work with really cool, passionate people. We're fully staffed. We're about 170 people, and there isn't a person there that's not passionate about what they do. So lucky to be working alongside these guys.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.